The 2019 Winter Classic had a big first where the host team did not host the Winter Classic within their own city limits or metropolis area even, or even their own state for that matter. The Chicago Blackhawks hosted the Boston Bruins at famed Notre Dame Stadium in Indiana at the University of Notre Dame. The White Sox was the more obvious choice for this rendition to use for this patch, for this game, not because the Cubs were already used for the 2009 Winter Classic held at Wrigley, but because the South Side has a more predominant Irish roots, has more Irish heritage and culture, and has the famed, infamous South Side St. Patrick's Day Parade. So for this first White Sox hat, it's red. I almost call it Red Sox because the rest of the hat is red and the logo itself is black. Pretty common colors for the Blackhawks themselves. But then I figured, let's get a little bit creative here. If you remember from the first, just like with the Cubs Blackhawks hat, the logo itself, the C, had different colors inside. The White Sox hat here has the same idea, where the colors inside the logo resemble and kind of copy off of the feathers in the back of the head of the Chicago Blackhawks logo. Different colors. I tried to do it each letter, the S, O, and X, different colors, but the way that my magnetic lasso just was acting and behaving within the Photoshop program, it made it a little bit more random, and I like it that way actually. It just has, the X was the only one that I could really get to be one color, so it's pretty cool that it's all these different colors. Could have been balanced a little bit better, maybe, but I still think that it's really cool with all the different colors inside. For this Winter Classic, I took the opponent, the Boston Bruins, and I put them into the incorporation of the crossover color scheme here. And this one is inspired by a mystery hat that I had gotten from Brand 47 a while ago. It was a Boston Bruins hat, but I put the colors onto a Red Sox hat here, where the crown itself is kind of like an oatmeal color. I think this is the best I could do with an oatmeal beige kind of color. More beige, really. The brim was brown. There's a brown B that was outlined in gold. So I really, really like that. I don't like the team, but I really like that hat, that color scheme. So I wanted to put that onto a Boston Red Sox hat with the Winter Classic logo on the side there. And especially with that Shamrock logo, both the South Side of Chicago and especially Boston have a very rich culture of the Irish. So it felt appropriate to put a Boston Bruins Winter Classic 2019 hat a part of this collection. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a historic Winter Classic where it was the first time a team hosted the game outside their own area, their city limits, and even their state. But it's also a last for the Winter Classic. This would be the last time that the Blackhawks would play in any outdoor NHL game, because they have played in 6 of them, and they are 1 for 5 in all-time outdoor games. They've played in more winter games, more outdoor games than most other teams, and we've only won 1 of them. We suck at outdoor games. After that game in 2019, I'm like, okay, Blackhawks, you are banned for the next 10 years from playing in any outdoor games. So this is a historic first and a historic last. Let's move on. 2017, the Pittsburgh Penguins hosted the Philadelphia Flyers for a Stadium Series game. I didn't do a hat for that game because the Penguins wore their regular black and yellow colors, black and gold. That was really yellow. And you've seen those colors before on a Pirates hat, so what would be the difference, really? So I then moved on to the Stadium Series that the Flyers hosted to the Penguins in 2019. So this one I had the updated P for the Phillies that I used, and just did a two-tone for black and orange, and then orange and black, and vice versa. So the logo was pretty cool that they used for the 2019 Stadium Series. I will say the 2017 was a little bit better because it has the Pittsburgh Bridge, but these Stadium Series logos have gotten a lot better than the first few years, like with the ones in LA, New York, Chicago. I mean, those were like in the same year, so they couldn't really do much variation. But like even the Stadium Series in Minnesota and Colorado, pretty generic, boring looking logos. So I'm glad that the NHL did something better with the Stadium Series logos. So Philadelphia Phillies in Flyer colors, and Stadium Series kind of a more updated, kind of more new age. 2020, of course, as you all know, was a weird year. But that weirdness started with a Winter Classic in the South. Usually you think of Winter Classic, of course, being an outdoor game. You play where there's cold and snow, maybe, like in the Midwest, or in, New York, upper state New York, like. But Texas to host a Winter Classic? That was kind of weird, but it worked. Let me show you the jerseys first that the visiting Nashville Predators and host Dallas Stars had. These were absolute fire jerseys and logos that they used. I got nothing in apparel of either hats or jerseys out of this Winter Classic, which I really, really regret. But these were really, really cool looking designs. So for the Winter Classic crossover hat here, I have two hats for the Texas Rangers. The Dallas Stars hosted the game, and the game was held at the Cotton Bowl, the original Cotton Bowl in northern Texas. So you have the first hat here is they're both two tones. So this one is a black crown with a kind of Kelly green, like not really a lime green, but like a Kelly greenish looking brim, and the Texas Rangers logo white with the shadow of the T being that same green on the brim. Then the other Rangers hat is actually darker green. That's more of a Kelly green. The first one was more of a lime. This is Kelly green. And the brim is black. The logo is black and white. I think that these hats turn out pretty well. These colors work. What's kind of funny is that those greens are different, but they work out for each hat though. Like if the green crown was that lighter green, it wouldn't have really worked out, because the primary green works better as this Kelly green, whereas the secondary green for like a brim and a two-tone hat was a lighter green, which I think works out better. So this one, these two hats were some of the better hats that were designed for this crossover collection. Could I have made the button the reverse color of the crown? Maybe, but it is what it is. I still think that these hats would be very popular, though. Hats that I would want to get. I mean, I saw the Sports World Astros and Dallas Stars crossover collection hats, and that one, if I get my hands on that one, I would. I regret not getting that one. ...2020 Stadium Series. Boring because it was the LA Kings hosting the Rockies. And for that one, I'm not going to do another black and white or gray and black Dodgers hat. It's just boring. I'm sure you, even before this idea of mine came about, I'm sure people have seen before those neutral colors being used for a Dodgers hat, so I'm not going to rehash that. Instead, we're going to look to some what-if hats, really. Because of the global pandemic that is still happening, hockey, and of course a lot of other sports, had to change their short-term seasons and how they would manage games and special events like a All-Star game or a Winter Classic or Stadium Series like for the NHL. So it was already predetermined at one point that the Winter Classic would be in Minnesota and the Stadium Series game would be hosted in North Carolina, where the Hurricane play. So I'm going to look into the prototype logos that were kind of mocked up that I found on Google image search and make some hats here for you. For the Minnesota Wild, this would be their first Winter Classic that they would have hosted, and they will host in 2022. It's been delayed. They did host a Stadium Series in 2016. I glossed over that one, not because the Wild pretty much blanked the Blackhawks in that game. I believe the Blackhawks lost 6-1 that game. But it was more because the logo was pretty bland and generic looking. But instead, this mock-up Winter Classic logo, I don't know how official this is, but it looks much better with the state outline, a part of the logo on the top of the patch there. And it's nice that they have the state outline there, and the colors look a lot better. The Twins hat, of course, I used for the crossover collaboration here, and that green just looks really good. The red might be a little bit bright, but it would be red. And the C is red, of course, didn't have to change that. I actually did change it, and it looked awful. I'm like, why did I do this? So I kept the C red, and then I changed the T into like a yellow or kind of like a beige, really, that the Wild has partly in their logo, also in the Winter Classic logo there, and they probably would have had incorporated in their jerseys in some way. So that's the Wild Twins crossover hat. And then the last one, the Carolina Hurricane would host their first ever and participate in their first ever outdoor NHL game. The Stadium Series would have been in Raleigh, and this one I put together. I'm like, okay, the closest team would be the Atlanta Braves, so that's what I did for this crossover look. That's the team that I used. Pretty simple, black and red colors, not much else more fancier than that. The game would have been hosted at Carter Finley Stadium, and this one was more of a football field actually than what I had previously thought. I'm like, okay, it'll be in Raleigh, so it'll be at like a NASCAR track, but no, it'll be at a football stadium. The Carolina Hurricane would be the newest team to participate in a outdoor NHL game. There are still 5 teams remaining that have never participated in a outdoor game. Now, there are Canadian teams that have participated in outdoor games, but not Stadium Series or Winter Classic games. They have their own kind of outdoor series called the Heritage Classic. Canadian teams going against each other in outdoor games. That's going to wrap up the NHL MLB Classic Series crossover collection by Professor Hattar. And if you noticed, in the title of this collection, it's Classic Series crossover collection. The classic in the series, Winter Classic, Stadium Series, Kind of see where I was going with there? No? Well, it's for you scholars that could figure it out. If you figured it out, A++ for you, extra brownie points. If you didn't, then at least I hope you enjoyed all the different hats that I had made. I didn't do every Winter Classic or Stadium Series or outdoor game, especially with the Heritage Classic that the Canadian teams do. There's only one Canadian baseball team right now, and could I have done like an Expos? Yes, but they don't really have any like good logos as far as I remember from the Heritage Classic, and I didn't want to muddy things up. Maybe in a Redux, I could look into doing that. Maybe redo some hats. I wish I could have found a way to do the Lake Tahoe logo, because that's a pretty cool logo, actually. But the host team was Vegas, and there's really no close-by city that doesn't have an MLB team already. Denver already has the Rockies, the Avalanche, California, everyone is kind of taken up. Or if I did like the Padres for Vegas, that would have been a weird combination. Phoenix already has the Diamondbacks and Coyotes. So, didn't work out entirely. That's fine. But I thought that these were some pretty cool hats. Let me know down below if you would have gotten one of these hats, or if you could get 3, which top 3 hats would you get from the first video and this video, or just this video? Let me know down below what your favorite hats were from this whole collection. Also tell me which ones were bad looking. Let me know too, because it's the first time I'd done like my own hat design. Not everyone does it, but I know way more talented people do that, so big hats off and cheers to them for that. And of course, we are so close to 1,000 students in the class. We are nearly 820 students away from 1,000 students in the classroom here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, join the classroom. I got plenty more videos that are going to be coming out. I'm going to be doing a big baseball week video leading into the season opener for baseball on April 1st, sometime around there. That's going to be a lot of like top side patches, top teams, hats for each team, what I like and don't like about the teams, a lot of other things I want to talk about with baseball leading into the new season. So, this is kind of a way to talk about baseball because we're getting back into it. As always, thanks off to you for watching, taking the time to watch this video. Don't have a great day, make it a great day. Class is dismissed. Bye everyone.